Now part of the Darkcast Network. Welcome to Indie Podcasts with a Dark Side. On July 16th, 2023, police in Thomasville, Georgia, received a 911 call from a woman claiming her husband was being aggressive and threatening. She claimed her husband was, quote, aggressive and, quote, opening my car door when I told him not to. The argument had escalated and she wanted police intervention. Quote, this man is cocky, full of himself, knows the laws, so just tell whoever shows up to be prepared. This is what she told the dispatcher. When officers arrived, no arrests were made. Days later, in a weird twist, Bahamian police were investigating a routine bar burglary on Great Guana Cay and stumbled upon a far worse crime that would all tie together in one unbelievable murder-for-hire plot. Today, I tell you the case of Lindsay and Robert Shiver. Welcome, lambs. Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide, your weekly true crime podcast telling you cases of relationships that turn to murder. I am your host, Kai. And if you're new here, take a seat, take a listen all the way to the end. And if you like it, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more cases. As usual, to my returning lambs, thank you so much for your continued support. You have no idea how much it does mean to me, like for real. I know you hear me say that every single episode, but seriously, I really appreciate it. Before we get into this case, I do want to let you know that another way you could subscribe to Love and Murder is through our Patreon, patreon.com/Love and Murder. We have a couple options for you in there. You can subscribe as a free lamb over in the Patreon to get updates on cases and a couple other benefits you get for being a free Patreon lamb, or you can become a sponsor of Love and Murder by choosing one of the bonus tiers. In the bonus tiers, you get case extras, you get bonus episodes, you get to know more about me, and so much more. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Like in one of last week's cases, it was like an emergency broadcast episode I did on Thursday. Please go back and listen to it if you didn't hear about it, because this guy definitely needs to be put on blast, and I don't understand why more people aren't talking about this. But anyways, with that case, the exclusive lambs at the $3 a month tier, they got to see the pictures of the court documents of what the mother had said in court and some other incriminating evidence that I put in there. So these are the kind of things that you get from being a lamb Patreon. And it just starts at $3 a month. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Now, I know y'all came for your full episode, so we're going to get on into it. So go ahead and grab your butts, grab your apple juice, and let's get into this Love and Murder. To outsiders, 37-year-old housewife Lindsay Shiver and 38-year-old Robert Shiver had it all. A 13-year marriage that appeared stable and happy, a $2.5 million mansion in Thomasville, Georgia, 3 young children, and a vacation home in the Bahamas. Which, let me tell you, having money and having stuff does not equal happiness. So saying that they had a marriage that appeared happy and then just listing all the material stuff means absolutely nothing. Robert was a former Auburn University football player who had signed with the Atlanta Falcons as a free agent. He was released during roster cuts before the 2009 season. He then went on to become an executive vice president at Senior Life Insurance Company. Lindsay, a former beauty queen and cheerleader, had been Miss Houston County and lived a seemingly perfect life on social media. Which we all know, social media is a lie. But behind closed doors, things were falling apart. In April 2023, Robert had filed for divorce, claiming Lindsay had been, quote, manipulative and had multiple affairs. Lindsay in turn accused Robert of domestic violence, saying that he was controlling and abusive. At the time, they were fighting over custody of their 3 sons and who would get their multi-million-dollar home. And then Lindsay met someone new. Lindsay and Robert frequently vacationed in the Bahamas on Great Guana Cay. That's where Lindsay met 28-year-old bartender Terrence Bethel, who worked at Grabber's Bar and Grill on Great Guana Cay. They quickly started an affair, and their romance wasn't even a secret. In messages later discovered by police, Terrence confessed his love for Lindsay, saying, quote, everybody knows we are together. We are not hiding anything. I love her. But Robert found out about their affair by hiring a PI and checking up on his wife. After continued surveillance, the PI captured images of Lindsay with Terrence at the rum-soaked waterfront bar. Upon seeing these pictures, this was when Robert filed for divorce. And part of the benefits you get of being a Patreon, starting at the $3 tier, is that I have these photos and more photos in there. I'm going to have these PI photos in there. So patreon.com/loveandmurder. So when he decided to file for divorce, that's when Lindsay allegedly decided to do something about it. On the other hand, on July 16th, 2023, Bahamian police were investigating a break-in at the Grabbers Bar and Grill. After identifying Terrence as the focal point suspect in the burglary, they seized his phone, looking for evidence in the case. Instead, they found WhatsApp messages between Lindsay, Terrence, and a man who was Terrence's childhood friend, 28-year-old Farron Newbold Jr., a local handyman and their alleged hitman. In one of the most damning pieces of evidence, like damn near ever, Lindsay sent a picture of Robert, who was with another woman in the picture, to Farron writing, quote, "Kill him." She'd also sent several more pictures of her husband. I'm guessing it's to allegedly help Farron to identify him. And these pictures were accompanied by, quote, "incriminating messages." Police also found messages between Terrence and Farron. In one message, Terrence tells his friend, quote, "This N-word rolled up on Lindsay and wouldn't let her on the plane, and he put his hands on her. I'm about to come out of retirement for this N-word. He's flying to Baker's Bay. She's thinking of letting me kill him, but he has the kids." What the crap? Wow. Police immediately picked up all three suspects and brought them to the station for questioning. Lindsay later admitted to police that she had in fact sent the photo, but claimed it was, quote, "just out of anger," after her and Robert had just had a huge argument about their divorce. So remember the argument that I said in the beginning where police were called and everything, so that's what we're about to get into. She said that on July 16th, wait a second, July 16th, that's when they found the messages. Wow. She wasted no time. So anyway, she said that on July 16th, she wanted to go on a trip to the Bahamas with Robert and their children, but he wouldn't allow her to. She called the Thomasville Police Department and told them that Robert wouldn't let her come on the trip and that he'd pushed her outside their home. Now, my question is, do people think that police are their parents or something? I never fully understood or even grasped the concept of calling the police for every little inconvenience in your life. It actually is really baffling to me when people do this. Like, I'm calling the police because an alligator took my dog. Like, what do you expect the police to do about this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Have you ever heard weird police calls? Like, and you're just like, why did you call the police? Anyways, I'm going down a whole other tangent. The respondent officers didn't do anything because Robert denied assaulting Lindsay, and I guess there was no evidence of this as well. And then he told them that they were just going through a divorce and that Lindsay just wanted to fly on their private jet to go to the Bahamas to go and see her, quote, boyfriend. So this is what Lindsay is telling police while they're in the station for questioning. So Terrence then tried to downplay the evidence when they asked him about it. Look at this text message. What does this mean? He said, quote, "Everybody says things out of frustration." Okay, Terrence. But investigators thought that the messages suggested detailed planning rather than just expressions of anger. They arrested Lindsay, Terrence, and Farron on July 21st, 2023. And this was done in the Bahamas, and they were charged with conspiracy to commit murder. They also informed Robert of the plot, which Robert responded with, quote, "If something were to happen to me, Lindsay would receive loads of money." Can anybody say motive? She would get loads of money, the house, everything they were fighting for, which includes custody of the children. Smells like motive to me. Allegedly. And he also expressed concern for his safety as well as the children's safety. The messages not only revealed an assassination plan and establishing clear communication patterns between the three suspects, but also provided investigators with a digital trail documenting the development of the murder plot. Investigators actually put together a timeline of the murder plot, And only 5 days before they were arrested, Lindsay had sent the text that said, "Kill him." In that short time, the communication between all three suspects were escalating. So they were arrested on the 21st. So what? That was all happening on the 16th, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, that was all happening on the 16th. So she had just sent the text when the police saw Terrence's phone. I'm not saying just because I don't know what time she sent the text as opposed to what time they got the phone. But this is all on the same day. She got into an argument with Robert because she wanted to fly on their private jet. Ugh, can you imagine that? On their private jet to the Bahamas. He wouldn't let her, but I guess, I don't know, did she end up, because she ended up in the Bahamas, so they end up going on the private jet, or did she book her own flight? I don't know. Either way, he wouldn't let her. She calls the cops to try and get him arrested for nothing, really. And then he goes to the Bahamas. She goes to the Bahamas, too. At the same time, Terrence is a focal point suspect in this burglary that happened at the bar that he works at. This is all on the same day. And she sent a text saying, "Kill him." And he sent a text to Farron saying that he's about to come out of retirement and kill this dude. That was all on one day. And then they're saying from there it escalated. Just that it seemed like the escalation was in one day. So just what I'm gathering from all of this is basically, if Terrence wasn't a moron and tried to rob a bar, well, allegedly, because he's just a suspect because I think he was the last one there. So allegedly tried to rob a bar while trying to help somebody plan a murder, again, allegedly, all while they were texting everything. If they weren't caught, the alleged plan might have been carried out. Allegedly. That's crazy. And this is just, a reminder of something that I always say. If you're going to commit a crime, make sure you have as much evidence on and around your person as possible. Make sure you send text messages. Make sure you leave a detailed trail. Make sure you ask ChatGPT. Make sure you Google. Just as much evidence on and around you as possible. So the three suspects, Lindsay, Farron, and Terrence, were held at Nassau Fox Hill Prison, which is one of the most notorious and dangerous prisons in the Caribbean. Wow. As I understand it, this prison is also a rat-infested building. So just take that as a top tier and it goes down from there. Lindsay was later granted a $100,000 bail with strict orders to stay in the Bahamas, report to police 3 times a week, have an 8 p.m. curfew, and wear a GPS-monitored ankle bracelet. Which my main thing is, why did you let her out? Her husband's still alive, and if her alleged goal is to murder him, she's now free to do this. What's the point of the bond? Then, if that wasn't enough, the court later revised Lindsay's bail terms, allowing her to return to the U.S. under strict conditions. Again, paper is not going to make people listen to you. Do courts not understand this? Her new terms was that she still had to wear the ankle monitor. She could only live at her parents' home in Alabama. She was banned from entering Georgia except for custody and divorce proceedings. And she had to return to the Bahamas that same week because it was supposed to be the beginning of her trial. Meanwhile, Terrence and Farron were released on $20,000 bail each and required to report to the police regularly. But in October 2023, Lindsay violated her bail conditions. Lindsay and Terrence appeared on Good Morning America discussing their case. What the frick? She paraded around in a blue sundress while Terrence denied that there was ever a murder plot, saying, quote, "Nobody ever wanted him dead." They went on Good Morning America, lambs. Are you? Wow. The balls, the cajones. Bahamian Judge Cheryl Grant Thompson basically felt the same way that I do. She called their TV appearance, quote, "a spit in the face of justice." Quote, "By trying this matter in the arena of public opinion, the respondents have encroached upon the constitutional right to a fair trial." My thing is, again, why did you let her out on bail? Why did you let any of them out on bail? And number two, paper does not stop people from doing what they're going to do. You just gave them a paper and said, don't do this. Do you think people who are planning a murder, allegedly, is going to listen to that? Lindsay was also caught violating travel restrictions by taking unauthorized trips to Florida. This was on just vacation, staying at multiple unapproved addresses, and even renting another home. On November 1st, 2023, the court revoked her bail, the bail that shouldn't have been in place in the first place. Lindsay was hauled back to Fox Hill Prison, where she currently awaits trial. Robert has remained silent about the case, but we did find a bit more details, such as Lindsay allegedly had multiple affairs, including with an 18-year-old boy in the Bahamas. Well, I mean, an 18-year-old man. He's not a boy. I mean, technically he's a man. But yeah, he's pretty young. Robert said that she was, quote, manipulative and reckless, and Lindsay claimed Robert was, quote, controlling and abusive, and, quote, physical and mentally cruel treatment on her. And she said that the relationship with Terrence was, quote, legally condoned by Robert. Really? Seriously? Why did he hire a PI then? Does he just like to waste money so he could pretend like he was jealous, or pretend like he was trying to find out if his wife was cheating if you told him about Terrence? And he was like, oh yeah, this is legally condoned. Sign here, here, initial here, and thumbprint here. Okay, you can go have an affair with Terrence. Really? How is it legally condoned? I have so many questions. Their divorce is currently still ongoing, with Robert seeking full custody of their 3 sons and, as I told you before, ownership of their home. Meanwhile, Robert is now dating reality TV star Savannah Chrisley. Wow, I actually know her. I mean, not in real life. I'm just usually not familiar with like celebrities, especially reality TV stars, but I know Savannah. So, well, I'm aware of Savannah. Savannah is actually the daughter from the Chrisley Knows Best TV show. Have y'all seen that show? Her parents are currently in prison right now, but I don't know really what for, and I'm not looking it up either. As for Lindsay, Terrence, and Farron, if convicted, they each face 30 to 60 years in prison for conspiracy to commit murder. As of now, their trial is scheduled for this month, actually. As of this recording, it was scheduled for March 2025, but I don't see any updates on that as of yet. In August 2023, Terrence declared his love for Lindsay to the Daily Mail and told the news site that Lindsay's marriage was ending long before they got together. Quote, none of us have anything to hide. People are taking everything at face value and defaming us. Defaming you, sir? Okay. Anyways, my other thing is, how do you know what was going on in their marriage? You know what she told you was going on in their marriage, but did you speak to Robert where he agreed what she said and said that she legally condones this affair? Like, you have no idea what was going on with their marriage, so please don't speak without knowledge. Just because you're with a married person and they say the famous words, I'm going through a divorce, or what was the other one? My marriage is a sham, or we're just together for the kids, or whatever the famous lines that married people who have affairs use, does not mean they're telling the truth, number one, does not mean you are off the hook, number two. No, you're still a homewrecker. And that's just it. And then don't sit here and defend a person like, yeah, I know for a fact their marriage had ended. You don't know anything. You know what the person you were dealing with told you. You don't know anything. Anyway, that is all we have right now. I will keep an eye out for this case, seeing what happens. And I also want to hear from you. Do you think Lindsay is guilty of plotting to have Robert killed? Or do you believe that these were just text messages sent out of anger? I mean, it started all in one day, as you can see, meaning the text message and everything like that. So her defense could totally claim that this was out of anger and that this wasn't going to come to fruition, where it didn't last long enough for police to have enough evidence to see if it was going to come to fruition. It's really a picture of Robert and then Lindsay saying, kill him. But was there an exchange of money? were there plans to, I don't know, take a flight to the US to do it, or for him to come to the Bahamas and you have a set date when it's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? There's so many holes in this. This is so much circumstantial evidence. I have a feeling that for Lindsay, and if it's for Lindsay, I was going to say, I have a feeling that for Lindsay, the case is going to fall apart because it's just circumstantial. And she could claim that I was just angry and this is what I was saying in anger. And if it falls apart for Lindsay, then it's going to fall apart for Terrence and Farron too. So it's no way that you can let Lindsay off, but Terrence and Farron go to prison for this. So what do y'all think? And I will keep an eye out for this whenever it goes to trial, and I'll give you all an update. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of your thoughts, let me read some of your comments right now. So on the case of Lori Vallow, if y'all don't remember that case, the link for that previous episode is in the show notes below. It was titled Missing Children, Murders, and a Cult Mom. Dale left me a message saying that you are very funny. Love your podcast. Thank you, Dale. I don't really do it to be funny. I just do it to get the case out. But there's so much stupidity in these people's mindsets when it comes to committing a murder. It turns into something that people could laugh at. Like when you're thinking about what are you like for instance, Lindsay case. You're just sitting here texting up a storm. You're going to say some stupid stuff like, it was illegally condoned by Terrence for me to have an affair. Like, just, stupid stuff. It literally becomes so stupid, it's laughable. But thank you, Dale, for being a listener. Another comment we have is from a way throwback episode. This was the case of Ethan Crumbly. And actually, I think this one had 5 delusional parents. So I think I took 5 cases and talked about how the parents didn't believe that the child was a murderer or something like that. This was way back episode 38. So that was season 1. I am embarrassed about season 1, season 2, and season 3. I think season 3, I was getting better. Season 4, I just believe really Love and Murder started in season 4. Really, that's what I believe. But anyways, my lambs, I've done polls. I've asked, y'all don't want me to delete season 1 through 3. You want to see my evolution and you want to have my secondhand embarrassment, I guess. But anyway, this was from season 1. Kay said, I feel like the one that turned a gun and bag into McDonald's was in Tampa, Florida. Well, Kay, this happened 5 years ago. I honestly don't remember it. I would have to go back and listen to that episode. But still, thank you very much for your comment. And thanks for getting through the episode in season 1. And the last comment that I'm going to read for you today from the case of Steven Vandeveld. If you don't remember this was the case of, actually, I think in this episode I had 2 cases and one of them was the case of that, Steven, when he was in the Olympics and he had allegedly murdered somebody. I can't really remember it, but he had controversy behind him and they let him in the Olympics. So of course I had to do an episode on him to shed light on his case and on the ridiculousness of the fact that they let him do the Olympics. So anyway, somebody named Watermelon 20189 said, a person's brain doesn't finish growing until their mid-20s. The prefrontal cortex responsible for skills like planning, prioritizing, and making good decisions. Yeah, but also by the time you're freaking 5, rape and murder is wrong. So I don't agree with I hear what you're saying, but if you're really trying to put up for Steven, yeah, I don't agree with you. It's a clear, everybody knows right from wrong from a young age. So I'm not saying this directly to you. I'm saying this in general. Whenever somebody who's 17, 18, 16, 15 does something that we know across the board is wrong, I'm not going to be like, well, their prefrontal cortex, bullshit. From 5 years old, hitting other people is wrong. Let's just start off with hitting other people, let alone murdering somebody. You know what is right from wrong from since you were little. So if you decide to commit a crime, if you didn't know it was wrong, number one, you wouldn't have hidden it. Number two, you wouldn't have ran. Number three, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that goes in there because if you don't know something's wrong, you don't think it's a reason to hide it or deny it or lie about it. But if you do all of those things, then you knew it was wrong. So I don't want to hear anything about prefrontal cortex or anything like that. And again, this wasn't harping on you, Watermelon. This was a general statement, even towards the case, even towards the court that was handling this case. So anyways, that's all the comments I have for you. And that is all I have for you for today's episode. Don't forget, I'm now back to asking for 5-star reviews. If you like this episode, not the content, of course, but if you like how I retold this case, then please, on whatever platform you listen to this on, please leave me a 5-star review. People always leave 1-star reviews for stupid crap. So if you could help me out by leaving a 5-star review, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, don't forget to go to the Patreon, patreon.com/Love and Murder, where you can sign up for free. You'll still get some benefits for signing up for free, and you won't miss a case. But if you are ready to support Love and Murder and be a sponsor, you can actually choose a bonus tier where you get bonus episodes. Depending on what tier you choose, you get bonus episodes, you get case extras, you get to hear more about my life, etc., etc., etc. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a lamb. Thank you for your time. And as we end each full episode, I want to remind you that it's, say it with me now, all love and no murder, y'all. Bye.